Nah, said Coach Hedge. The gods hate needing humans. They like humans to be needed by them, not the other way around. Things will have to get a whole lot worse before Zeus admits he made a mistake closing Olympus.
Coach, Piper said, that was almost an intelligent comment.
Hedge huffed. What? I'm intelligent? I'm not surprised you cupcakes haven't heard of the Giant War. The gods don't talk about it. Bad PR to admit you need mortals to beat up an enemy. That's just embarrassing.
There's more, though, Jason said. When I dreamed about Hera in her cage, she said Zeus was acting unusually paranoid. And Hera, she said she went to those ruins because a voice had been speaking in her head. What if someone's influencing the gods, like Medea influenced us?
Piper shuddered. She had a similar thought, that some force they couldn't see was manipulating things behind the scenes, helping the giants. Maybe the same force was keeping Enceladus informed about their movements, and had even knocked their dragon out of the sky over Detroit. Perhaps Leo's sleeping dirt woman, or another servant of hers. Leo set the hamburger buns down on the skillet to roast. Yeah, Vestas said something similar, like Zeus was acting weirder than usual. But what bothered me was the stuff my dad didn't say. Like a couple of times he was talking about the demigods, and how he had so many kids and all. I don't know. He acted like he was getting the greatest demigods together. It was going to be impossible. Like Hera was trying, but it was a really stupid thing to do. And there was some sort of secret that Vestas wasn't supposed to tell me.
Jason shifted. Piper could feel the tension in his arms.
Chiron was the same way back at camp, he said. He mentioned a sacred oath not to discuss something. Coach, you know anything about that?
Nah, I'm just a satyr. They don't tell us the juicy stuff, especially an old...
He stopped himself. An old guy like you? Piper asked. But you're not that old, are you?
106, the coach muttered.
Leo coughed. Say what?
Don't catch your panties on fire, Valdez. That's just 53 in human years. Still, yeah, I made some enemies on the Council of Clothed Elders. I've been a protector a long time, but they started saying I was getting unpredictable. Too violent. Can you imagine?
Wow. Piper tried not to look at her friends. That's hard to believe.
Coach scowled.
Yeah, then finally we get a good war going with the Titans. And do they put me on the front lines? No! They send me as far away as possible. The Canadian frontier, can you believe it? Then, after the war, they put me out to pasture. The wilderness school. Bah! Like I'm too old to be helpful just because I like playing offense. All those flower pickers on the council talking about nature.
I thought satyrs liked nature, Piper ventured.
Shoot, I love nature, Hedge said. Nature means big things killing and eating little things. And when you're a vertically challenged satyr like me, you get in good shape, you carry a big stick, and you don't take nothing from no one. That's nature.
Horde snorted indignantly.
Flower pickers. Anyway, I hope you got something vegetarian cooking, Valdez. I don't do flesh.
Yeah, Coach. Don't eat your cudgel. I've got some tofu patties here. Piper's a vegetarian, too. I'll throw them on in a second.
The smell of frying burgers filled the air. Piper usually hated the smell of cooking meat, but her stomach rumbled like it wanted a mutiny. I'm losing it, she thought. Think broccoli, carrots, lentils. Her stomach wasn't the only thing rebelling. Lying by the fire, with Jason holding her, Piper's conscience felt like a hot bullet slowly working its way towards her heart. All the guilt she'd been holding in for the last week, since the giant Enceladus had first sent her the dream, was about to kill her. She wanted to help her friends. She wanted them to help her. Jason even said he'd walk into a trap to save her dad, and Piper had shut them out. For all she knew, she'd already doomed her father when she attacked Medea. She choked back a sob. Maybe she'd done the right thing in Chicago by saving her friends, but she'd only delayed her problem. She could never betray her friends. But the tiniest part of her was desperate enough to think, what if I did? She tried to imagine what her dad would say. Hey Dad, if you were ever chained up by a cannibal giant and I had to betray a couple of my friends to save you, what should I do? Funny that had never come up when they did any 3 questions. Her dad would never take the questions seriously, of course. He'd probably tell her one of Grandpa Tom's old stories, something about glowing hedgehogs and talking birds, and then laugh as if the advice were silly. Piper wished she remembered her grandfather better. Sometimes she dreamed about that little 2-room house in Oklahoma. She wondered what it would have been like to grow up there. Her dad would think that was nuts. He'd spent his whole life running away from that place.
distancing himself from that res, playing any role except Native American. He'd always told Piper how lucky she was to grow up rich and well cared for in a nice house in California.